Good afternoon, race fans, and welcome to 8 Bowl Super Speedway as we're getting set for race number 7 of the debut season of the PCSRA Winston Cup Series. We're Super Speedway racing from the 8 Bowl Super Speedway. Getting ready to run 20 laps of racing here in the running of the Paula Casino 400. Getting set to go racing here. J TwoTwo on the pole position, second in points, alongside Brenda Eveling, who didn't have a good race at Bristol, dropped all the way down to 37th in the point standings, running the DuPont 200 Years paint scheme this week. Ashley Horton was our pole sitter last week. She jumped up to 20th in the points table. Alongside of her is Cody Smart in the number 12, who jumped up 4 spots to 17th in the point standings. As we're going to go ahead and make sure these cars roll off, as I'm going to just do this from the pit lane cam, and I'll go over the point standings presented by Golden Corral. By the way, I forgot to show you the rest of the starting lineup before I forget. There you go. Make sure all of these drivers roll off properly. Margaret Jacobs still the points leader by 24 points over J TwoTwo. Luke Knight, 34 points, tied with Annie Crenshaw. 41 points back is Josephine Bouvier, 5th in the standings. Annie Thomas is 6th, 43 points back. 45 back is Samantha Grainger, who is 7th. 8th is Brad Lewis, 46 points back. 47 back is Elena Aurora, who is 9th. And 10th is Betty Johnson, 48 points out of the points lead. So far, all 6 of our winners are inside the top 30 in points. Marty Stevens, with his win, jumped up to 28th in the points. He is the lowest of our former winners. He's only a measly 4 points ahead of 30th in the standings, so he needs a good run today. Zachary Taylor, on the flip side, is only 12 points ahead of 30th in the standings, so he needs a good run to get away from 30th in the standings, or his win will not count for a spot into the playoffs. This is going to be a wild card race as here we go. The Paula Casino 400 is green. This is the only super speedway where we're going to turn left and right. As you see, the inside line going to be the place to go as here comes the 10 of Ashley Horton. The Pontiacs were strong back at Coca-Cola. Could that be the case here today at 8 Bowl? We're going to have to find that out. As like I said, 20 laps of racing. Courtney Lynn, former winner this season, right behind Brenda Eveling, her girlfriend. And Horton's going to lead the first lap of the race. Everybody did take the green flag, so that's pretty good. Brenda Eveling, of course, running the 200-year paint scheme. This is the car that Jeff Gordon drove in the Daytona 500, and I also have this on the Monster Energy 19 as with a 26 on there, but it's like a Ford, not a Chevrolet. Brenda Eveling needs a good run today. It's been a struggling start for her because remember, Courtney Lynn is the only Hendrick Motorsports driver to go to victory lane this season. So Eveling leads that lap. That'll give Courtney Lynn a chance to lead. There's Cody Smart in the 12. Cody comes in this race 17th in points. They extended Annie Winters' probation for ignoring the blue flags after the race at Bristol last week. And Winters is now on a 3-race probation. On top of the 3-race probation, she already got the race before that back at Darlington. Jacob TwoTwo, who by the way is second in points, comes in this race also 39 points above the cut line. As Courtney Lynn leads that lap. Courtney looking for her second win of the year to solidify herself a spot into the playoffs. Courtney comes into this race 13th in the points, dropped 5 spots down out of the top 10 last week, so she's looking for a bounce back this week. And there's Jacob TwoTwo, second in points. The gal he's trying to run down for the points lead, that would be Margaret Jacobs, as I just try to get to Cody Smart here. Margaret Jacobs running in 18th, comes to this race as the points leader. And like I said, the guy that's trying to run her down for the points lead is up here at the front. Jacob TwoTwo, second in points. And there's Marty Stevens, last week's winner at Bristol. Needs a good run today to get himself keep himself in the top 30 in the points table. Whereas Zachary Taylor could be in danger of falling outside the top 30 in the points table. Taylor comes into this race, even though he's tied for 22nd in points with Annie Winters. He's only 12 points ahead of the cut line, that 30th position in the cut line standings. And with where he's running in 25th, I don't know if he's going to be in the top 30 in the points. But we're going to have to wait and see. As Cody Smart, currently the race leader. Courtney Lynn's going to go underneath Jacob TwoTwo. Smart leads that lap. And now we're a quarter of the way through this race. Zachary Taylor did not have a good finish last week. He actually blew up prior to going to green, and surprisingly, it didn't bring out the caution. Cody Smart, which I forgot to change his paint scheme back to the regular all-tail car, but that's okay. Here's another driver that needs a win to get into the playoffs, E Aurora in the 31. And she's going to go to the race lead, bringing Tatum Wright with her. E Aurora is 9th in the points tables. And she currently now is one of the 16 drivers that has a spot into this season's chase for the championship. But of course, we still have a long way to go between now and race number 26. Ashley Horton would like to get a win to get herself into the playoffs. Of course, she led the most laps at Bristol last week, but finished second to Marty Stevens. Of course, those were a couple of drivers that are way down near the cellar of the points table. And with where Marty Stevens is running, he's trying to build himself a nice little cushion between himself and that critical 30th position in the points. This is a super speedway. If you've never seen 8 Ball before, I've raced at this track before, and this is also the same track Annie Thomas made her debut in NASCAR, believe it or not, at this very same racetrack. As here comes the RCR lads, Jacob TwoTwo, second in points, trying to not only win to get into the playoffs, but also to take the points lead from Margaret Jacobs, who surprisingly hasn't been to victory lane this season. Margaret's only running in 20th right now. Those two, as far as the points are concerned, 24 points separating between the two. We're at the halfway point of this race. 10 down, 10 to go. Ashley Horton going to take the lead. J TwoTwo got a bonus point for leading the lap, so give Ashley Horton a chance to lead another lap. Ashley Horton, we know her in the Truck Series. We didn't know how she was going to do in the Cup Series. Well, she's trying to overcome a slow start in the Truck Series. And there's the gal that should have won Coca-Cola, Riley Anderson, who was trying to pass Zachary Taylor, and then her engine grenaded on her on the last lap, which was absolutely gut-wrenching for her. She could have finished second. Instead, she finished like 30th. As J TwoTwo is going to retake the lead here. Comes Horton going to go back to the race lead. A lot of lead changes we're seeing in this race so far. Riley Anderson to the race lead. Here comes Cody Smart trying to get his second win of the year. Of course, you get a bonus point for leading a lap and leading the most laps. Jacob TwoTwo trying to win. Anybody that wins that are inside the top 30 in points would be in the playoffs, providing they remain the top 30 in the points. Surprisingly, everybody is keeping it together, and that's really impressive if you ask me, as here comes Todd Montgomery. 19th in the points, gained 13 spots. Believe it or not, Daytona will become the regular season finale for all three series this year. That was already been confirmed. So Daytona, anything can happen to see who would win to punch their playoff berth. That's going to be, by the way, for all three series. We'll be having Daytona as a regular season finale. That'll be our next super speedway race. Surprising the tracks we haven't been to, which we will be coming up to very soon. Next week we go to Atlanta. All three series will be at that track. Looking forward to Hot Atlanta next week. Tatum Wright going to the inside of Riley Anderson as Cody Smart still leads with 5 to go, by the way. Then the following week, all three series will be in action, but will be at 2 different locations. Trucks and Busch will be at Gateway, and the Cup Cars will be at Pocono. Gateway should be interesting for Busch and Trucks. I know Cup will have an off week soon. I think that's when we'll have Trucks and Busch at the time, like we did in the Diva Series last year, towards the end of last year. So we're nearing 3 laps of racing to go. Time is running out for drivers to make moves. Cody Smart going to go back to the lead. This is exactly what Cody needs. And Cody Smart, who is only a total of 19 points ahead of 30th in the standings, trying to build that cushion between himself and 30th in the standings. Because remember, Cody Smart in Season 1 of the Oreo Cup Series had a win, but was not high enough in points to have his win count for a spot in the playoffs that season. So Cody doesn't want a deja vu of last season. And believe it or not, we have not been to Las Vegas this year, believe it or not. I know a lot of you are thinking, Foils, I thought we've done a race at Vegas this season. We haven't gone to Vegas yet, surprisingly. Because we're going later in the year, believe it or not, to Vegas, as we're down to 2 to go. White flag will be next time by. Here comes the 10 of Horton to the race lead. Critical for Ashley Horton or Cody Smart. Remember, Smart's going for his second win. Most of these drivers are going for their first win of the year. Zachary Taylor's 23rd right now. I don't know if he'll be in the top 30 in the points. White flag is in the air. Final lap here at April. Cody Smart going to have the race lead, but here comes Tatum right in the zero. Tatum dropped 4 spots to 14th in the points. But I think she's going to run out of time. I believe it's going to be Cody Smart who's going to get this. Cody Smart will be our first repeat winner in the Winston Cup Series, his second win of the year. Cody Smart will take the Paula Casino 400. Or is it the 0? Yeah, it was the 12. Scoring tried to get me screwed up there for whatever the flipping reason. I don't know why. Standings are official. What a fun race. No cautions. Cody Smart wins. Tatum Wright will get second. Will be inside the top 10 leaving today. Ashley Horton continues her climb through the points with a solid third. Riley Anderson, better result from Coca-Cola, will get fourth. Courtney Lynn will get fifth. Lynn came into this race 13th in the points. This will put her in the top 10 in the points. Marty Stevens, well-needed run, 6th place for him. Remember, he came this race 4 points ahead of 30th in the standings, so that's a nice little cushion for Marty Stevens. Todd Montgomery will get 7th, 19th in the points. He'll continue his climb through the points table. Sean Art will get a well-needed run for him, 29th in the points. He's had a struggling season. Elena Aurora will get 9th. Aurora was 9th in the points, so she'll stay in the top 10 in the points leaving today. And Mia Watts will complete the top 10 as she came into this race 38th in the points. So a well-needed run for that 42 bunch. Zachary Taylor finished 26th. We're going to have to see where this is going to situate him. Annie Thomas came into this race sixth in points. This is not a good result for her, but she had a nice little cushion between herself and that 30th position in the standings. You look on down through the remainder of the finishing results. Samantha Grainger lost the draft there. Not sure what happened there, but came in this race seventh in points. That's going to be a big hit for her. But all 40 cars finished the race and on the lead lap. Nobody a lap down or out of the race, and no cautions in that regard. But I can tell you the points are going to get mighty shaken up heading into next week's race at Atlanta Motor Speedway. But thank you all for joining me for today's race at 8 Bull. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to become part of the PCSRA crew today. We've shown your full finisher results. Your points are down in the description heading into next week at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Until then, I've been Dieterville signing off. So long from 8 Bull as you've been watching yet another broadcast of PCSRA TV, where champions are made since 2010 and the best out of racing since 2017.